Hey there, welcome back. Today we are back with a long overdue part 2 of my Q&A video. So it has been quite a long time ago. I think it was actually in the summer when I requested questions from all of you to do a Q&A video, and then I ended up having to delay recording it, and then when I did start to record it, I got through some of the questions and then had to stop because of some really loud sounds in my neighborhood. And so we only got part of the way through, and then other things have happened. I recorded seasonal Halloween videos, etc., etc. And here we are, finally back again to finish up this list of your questions. You know what, I think I'm going to move my microphone a little closer to me. Adjust a little bit there. Let's see, maybe that's a little better. So, I wrote these questions in my notebook way back when you all first gave them to me through comments on videos and a post that I did. And I have not looked at this list since I recorded part 1 of the video. So of course I will link to that below if you want to listen to part 1. But I just thought it would be fun to come back to this because I honestly don't really remember what the rest of the questions were, and to look at it with a really fresh mind and a fresh eye and spontaneously answer your questions. And I do have a pen here so that I can check off the questions as we answer them. And before I get started, I did want to say thank you to everyone for all your kind words and support, as always. When I posted a video the other day when I was feeling pretty down and I had been struggling with some pretty major anxiety and panicky feelings, and sitting down to hang out with all of you really helped me. So thank you again for allowing me that space and for helping me to heal and helping me to feel better. You all really do that for me as much as I hope I can do it for you, as much as I hope I can help you feel better and bring a little higher quality of life to you when you need it and help you relax and all that sort of thing. And I also just wanted to mention, because I'm always very honest about my anxiety and my struggles, and as I work through things, you know, both related to normal life things and Justin's episode and his bipolar diagnosis and all the things I've been really honest with you all about. When I first went to do this video, this Q&A video, back months ago, one of the reasons I delayed on doing it is I actually got really anxious about the idea of answering the questions. I had some weird anxiety about, like, would I answer them in the best way, and would I don't know, do them justice, and would I get stressed about coming up with the answers? I don't know. And so that was one of the reasons I kind of delayed. And so it's just interesting to me to come back to this today and realize that after the kind of more primal, panicky feelings that I've been having this last week or so, which I have now kind of gotten past a little bit, thankfully, the idea of sitting down and answering these questions with you is not intimidating or scary to me at all. And so, as much as I don't want to keep having different kinds of anxiety, I do think it maybe shows some sort of progress, that my old more typical anxiety, which was more about my own performance and perfectionism and me being good enough, that maybe some of that has drifted away and I've been able to move past that. And that is a good sign of progress, I think. So anyway, I don't even know if that makes sense, but I wanted to share that with you before we dive into this. So let's just get to it, as people always like to say in videos. So if you gave me a question all those months ago, thank you for your patience, and we will get around to it today. So the first question is, what sort of music do you enjoy? Genres and artists, and who in your life got you into music? And I'll be honest that answering this question in the past, the idea of trying to answer it kind of caused me some anxiety because I love a lot of different kinds of music and I didn't want to leave anything out or give you an incomplete answer. But for today, I'm just going to do my best and go with what comes to me. And I will say that I have a special place in my heart for bluegrass and country and traditional folk music kind of music because that's what I grew up on when I was a kid, and I love classic country artists like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson and Dolly Parton. Contemporary country music doesn't really do it for me because I feel like it's not that different than pop music. But there are a lot of good independent country and bluegrass artists out there who I really enjoy. The Wood Brothers come to mind. They are one of my favorite groups. I have a lot of their albums and have seen them live and love their music. I love the Suitcase Junket. He's a fantastic sort of rock and country kind of guy. And someone I'll mention that is an artist that I know personally in that genre who I think is really talented is a guy named Nate Gusakoff. And I will link to his music because that's something that I've really enjoyed over the last couple of years. So let me see, what else should I say? I really love all kinds of music. I love soul, I love funk, I could get into disco sometimes. I also really love ambient music, like background music, like, wooden flutes, and R. Carlos Nakai, if you've ever heard of him. He's a wonderful Native American flute player. Deuter, who is a pretty well-known, ambient background music kind of guy. I really love Beautiful Chorus. They are an a cappella group that sings a lot of inspirational songs and mantras, and that's music that is very soothing to me when I am feeling stressed, so I highly recommend Beautiful Chorus. One of my all-time favorite bands is They Might Be Giants. Justin and I have loved them ever since college days. And there's just a lot of different groups I like and singers. Alice Russell, Mike Doty. There's a band called Khruangbin that I really love. Sylvan Esso, Moonchild. These are just bands that are coming to the top of my head. Lunasa is a traditional Irish band that I love, love, love. They are one of my all-time favorites. David Wax Museum, that's someone else who just came to my head, whose music I love. James Brown, Ann Peebles, Aretha Franklin. And as far as who got me into music in my life, I am lucky to come from a family where everyone loves music, and I grew up listening to records and listening to tapes and 8-tracks on my family's home console stereo. And my aunt, my dad's sister, is a big music lover. Actually, all of my aunts and uncles really influenced me to love music, my grandparents. So I'm really lucky that I've had a lot of good musical influences in my life. And then a lot of my friends, too. When I was in college, I am lucky enough to have a lot of friends who are very talented musicians. And so I've just really been surrounded by music throughout my life. And that's something that really restores me and rejuvenates me. So I think that's a good enough answer to that question. Thank you for letting me ramble through that one. Next question. What would a perfect day be for you in terms of your favorite things to do, food, weather, etc.? Well, I think that for me, an ideal day would be a day spent outside, a day when I could get up early and go outside and be in beautiful sunny weather that's not too hot or not too cold, just sunny and bright with maybe a nice cool breeze blowing, and go somewhere and be in nature and be able to connect with people that I care about and have fun. And there would definitely be music. A perfect day for me would have to include listening to music, maybe even hearing some live music, and maybe playing some games, just doing something fun and enjoyable and very laid back, and not having a strict schedule, not having a you have to do this at this time. My ideal day would, have some target points in it of things I would like to do, but would be very, very laid back. Maybe some time spent at an outdoor cafe. I love eating outside, eating some good nourishing food, maybe a hearty soup and some bread. That's one of my favorite things to eat. And, just being able to be relaxed and be in the moment that I'm in, I think would be my ideal day. What's your go-to coffee or tea order? Well, that kind of fits in with that. And because I am still getting over a little bit of being sick and I'm still a little bit congested, I did bring a beverage with me, and I will show you. I'll flip it around. It's in my cutie cat mug. And what this is Dandy Blend, which I talked about and showed in my pantry staples favorites video. And Dandy Blend is a coffee alternative beverage that's made out of dandelion root. And it is just a powder, and I heat up some milk. This is oat milk, and swoosh the dandy powder into it. And it's got a little bit of like a bitter taste like coffee, but not too bitter. And it's really delicious. And so this is definitely my go-to beverage when I am at home and am making my beverage myself. It has really provided a lovely substitute to coffee for me, because coffee just, I can't do it anymore. The caffeine is just too much for my system. And this is a really lovely, tasty treat to have instead. Now, if I am out and about and actually ordering a hot beverage, this actually said coffee or tea order, so I don't drink coffee, unfortunately. Even decaf, it just doesn't really agree with me. And I don't drink black tea or caffeinated teas either, but I do love herbal tea. So if I'm lucky enough to go to a place that has a variety of herbal teas, I will have fun selecting one. If I'm going to a place that only has more limited teas, chamomile is my go-to. I love it, so I will order chamomile tea. And I'm also a big hot chocolate person. Fortunately, I am still able to drink hot chocolate. The small amount of caffeine, I guess, in the chocolate and hot chocolate doesn't bother me. So if I were to go to Starbucks or a coffee shop or something like that to order a beverage, probably unless it's in the super heat of the summer, I would order a hot chocolate. And especially this time of year, I just love it since it is hot cocoa and hot chocolate season. And that would be probably my number one go-to order of a hot drink when I'm out and about, is a nice hot chocolate, a nice hot chocolate. Next question. What is an activity or hobby that makes you really happy? Well, creating ASMR makes me really, really happy for sure. The other thing that comes to mind right away is cooking. I really love to cook and try new recipes and share food with people and bake for people. That's something that I get a lot of enjoyment out of. I also really love gardening and doing things outdoors. These last couple of years, I've really gotten into herbalism and growing herbs in my garden and then making things out of them, making infused honeys and tinctures and things like that. I've taken some classes on that. And we were just speaking about herbal teas. I've really gotten into making herbal teas with herbs from my own garden and with wild foraged plants. Actually, just this week, because Justin and I are both getting over being sick, I have been making us white pine needle tea, where you just harvest the needles from a white pine tree and chop them up and steep them in water in a teapot and drink that tea. And it's got a lot of vitamin C. It's very medicinal. It's very good for the throat and good for any kind of cough or any kind of sickness like that. And so that's something that I have really gotten into, is kind of home herbalism and bioregional herbalism. So those are some hobbies that make me really, really happy. And writing. I do love to write. I love to write poetry and write stories and essays, and when I can get in a groove of doing that, it makes me really happy. What is your favorite book or author of all time? That's another one that's really hard for me because I'm a big reader. I've been a reader ever since I was a kid, and there are so many books that I love. But the person who immediately comes to mind for me is Margaret Atwood. I've talked about several of her books in different videos of mine. I love her novels. I love her poetry. Her book of short stories called Stone Mattress is one of my all-time favorite books. I love her books The Robber Bride and Cat's Eye. I mean, I do love The Handmaid's Tale, but that's not even at the top of my list for her. And then, of course, I have to mention Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. I mean, I read that entire book here on this channel, and so I obviously love it. And it's been one of my favorites ever since I was a little girl. And I also love Madeleine L'Engle. I read A Wrinkle in Time for the first time when I was quite young, and I love that whole series of books and also her books for adults. So that's another person that comes to mind who's really been with me throughout my whole reading life. And more recently, I've discovered Anne Lamott. I really, really like her inspiring books. I love all of Brene Brown's books when it comes to nonfiction and that sort of thing. And I like poetry of all kinds. I just really like to pick up random poetry books. Carol Ann Duffy is one of my favorite poets. Irene McKinney, she was from West Virginia, where I grew up, and I had the privilege of having her as a professor in college. So yeah, that's just a handful of authors and books that I love. And I do just love going to the library and picking up a random book. I just read a book recently called The Collected Regrets of Clover. Can't even think of the author, but just a random book I picked up at the library, and I enjoyed it very much. So I just love the thrill of finding a new book at the library. That's always just another thing, another hobby that makes me very happy, is to go to the library and explore and find a new book. What is your favorite food and drink? I love food. I love food so much. So I will give the broad category of soup. I love soup. I love soup and bread. Like a good hearty soup and a hearty homemade bread. I just love bread. So bread from a bakery, any kind of like hearty, fun bread with things mixed into it. Like, I'll give you an example. Last night for dinner, I made a really beautiful potato, leek, and kale soup and had it alongside some rosemary Parmesan bread that I had gotten from a local bakery. And that just made me so happy. I love, I love a good pizza. I think we all do. I love anything with some good melty cheese. That's always a good thing. I really like warm, comforting foods. I like, curries and creamy soups and things like that that are really nourishing and grounding. I like sweet potatoes and beets. I eat pretty much a vegetarian diet. I do eat some meat, but I really like things that are grounding and warm and soothing and have nice warming spices. And then for beverages, I don't drink a lot of, I drink a lot of water. I don't drink a lot of various beverages. I'm not like really a soda or a juice person or any of the, interesting beverages that are out there these days. I drink water, I drink a lot of herbal tea, and I drink hot chocolate and my dandy, and that's about it. So I guess, again, I would say my favorite beverage is probably a really, really good, yummy, high-quality hot chocolate or a really yummy herbal tea with some nice honey in it or something like that would be probably my favorite beverage. And I don't drink alcohol, so I don't have a favorite cocktail or anything like that. So when it comes to beverages, I'm a pretty straightforward person, but I do love water. I love the taste of water. I drink warm water a lot throughout the winter season to help try to keep my system, nice and warm and cozy and soothe my throat. So yay water. I'm on team water for sure, and very grateful to have access to high quality, lovely drinking water. We have water from a well at our house that's very delicious, and I'm very thankful to have it. And my tummy just gave a little rumbly from talking about food after. Ooh, another food that I love, one of my favorite foods, is samosas. And I actually have some samosas that I got from the deli at our co-op when I went there the other day, and that's probably what I'm going to have for my lunch after I'm finished this. So samosas. I love any food that's like wrapped up in a little package. That's very charming to me and something that I enjoy. I like casseroles, like mac and cheese, or I make a really good pumpkin baked ziti. That's a vegan recipe, actually. That is delicious. So yeah, again, hearty fare is something I really enjoy. I don't really like raw foods. I don't really digest like raw salads and things like that very well. I do like cooked apples and cooked fruits and pears, and yeah, this is making me hungry, so we can skip forward so I don't get caught up in food forever. What is your favorite animated movie? Well, I really love all of the Miyazaki movies. I love Princess Mononoke and Nausicaa and Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle. Those are all favorites of mine. Of course, I immediately think of Disney movies, and growing up as a kid, Lady and the Tramp was definitely my sister and I's go-to Disney movie. And then when I was in middle school, I really loved The Little Mermaid and Aladdin and The Lion King, as most people my age, I think, really did. So yeah, I would say those are probably my favorite animated movies. I'm probably forgetting something. I mean, the Muppets aren't animated, but I love all of the Muppet movies. That's sort of in the genre of like young at heart kind of movies. And yeah, I think if I think of any other animated movies, I will pop them in, but those are probably my favorites. Okay, what fictional character do you relate to most? Well, I already kind of talked about Anne of Green Gables, but I think that's probably the first character that comes to mind for me when I think of this, because of Anne and her imagination and her not really always fitting in with people and being really smart, but not always knowing exactly what to do with that. Those are all things that I really relate to growing up. And in A Wrinkle in Time, I think Meg Murray is a character that a lot of young girls relate to because she's someone else who is always trying to navigate her feelings and her awkwardness and, find her true strength within her. So I definitely related to Meg when I was growing up. And also Jo March in Little Women. I mean, you gotta love Little Women, and Jo as a writer and her, wanting to share her creativity with the world and her kind of not wanting things to change sometimes and having to deal with life evolving and changing and growing up. She's another character that I really like a lot. So there's a few ideas for that one. What did I do with my pen? What did I do with my pen? Okay, next question. If you were a flower, what flower would you be? Oh my goodness. This is so difficult for me because I love every flower, but I am going to say a daylily because I love daylilies and daylilies are new every day. There are so many varieties of them, and they are prolific bloomers. They're always renewing themselves, and each day they have a new blossom and something new to share with the world. So I would be a daylily. I can't believe I gave such a short answer to that. I'm getting better here at being succinct. If you could travel anywhere, where would you go? I would love to go to the rainforest somewhere. I would love to go somewhere where I could hear birds and see exotic plants and be somewhere in a jungle type setting where there was just a lot of lush animal life and that sort of thing, as long as it wasn't too overly hot, because I have a hard time with hot temperatures. And I have traveled in Ireland and have spent some time there, but I haven't seen the whole country, so I would love to see more of Ireland, and I would love to travel back to Ireland sometime, maybe with my mom and maybe with my sister. I've only ever really traveled there on my own, and I lived there for a while when I was in college, and it would be neat to take my mom and my sister and Justin and some of my family maybe back there with me and travel again. So maybe that will happen someday. What are your favorite fall and winter accessories, and which do you wear the most during these seasons? Well, I love a good cozy sweater or a good cozy sweatshirt. I'm actually excited because this is a new pink sweater that I just got. I just got a few new sweaters for the season. So I wear, that's not exactly an accessory though. I do wear a lot of scarves. I'm not wearing one today. I did a whole video with my scarf collection, so I can link to that. I do wear a lot of scarves, and I wear a lot of winter hats. I was wearing a winter hat in my video the other day, and I do have quite a collection of hats as well. So I wear a lot of hats and a lot of scarves, and I really like gloves, although I often forget them, and then my hands are cold, but I do have some pairs of gloves that I really like. What is the weirdest, grossest food combination that you enjoy? I remember when this question came up originally because I thought to myself, I'm going to be really boring because I don't know, I couldn't really think of anything. I don't really like a lot of gross food combinations. My food combinations are pretty classic and pretty simple. I mean, I do like some foods that other people don't like. Like I said, I like beets and I like, kale and green vegetables and things that, some other people might think are a little icky, but I don't really combine them with anything random. So I remember I thought that what I would offer up for this question is something that my little niece enjoys. She is 2, and she loves putting ketchup and ranch on everything. And this summer she was putting ketchup on her watermelon. And I thought that was a pretty interesting, unusual combination. So I will steal that from her to answer that question because honestly, I just, I do like food combinations, but I don't think there's anything really gross that I really like. So sorry, that's a boring answer for that one. What is on your bucket list? What is something you've always dreamed of doing? Wow. Well, that's a really interesting question because I think up until a short time ago, I would have had a lot of answers for that. I would have said, oh, I want to write a book and I want to travel the world and I want to be successful and I want to make a difference and all that sort of thing. But honestly, what comes to me right now is like, I just want to live each day to the fullest and really be present with those that I love and really be in a space where I'm experiencing with my senses everything that's around me and using my five senses and enjoying good food and tactile sensations and smells and, tastes and feelings and all that sort of thing. And yeah, I think my bucket list is just to live each day as fully as I can and see what adventures come along the path as I do that. So there are places that I would like to travel in the world, but I'm also quite content where I am. And I do hope to launch my coaching business moving forward and be able to help more people with their own struggles and support people in love and in moving forward with their dreams. But yeah, I just want to be where I am right now, and I think that's a pretty good answer to be able to give. Have you ever had a paranormal experience? Well, I've never seen a ghost or heard voices or anything like that, so I would say probably not a paranormal experience as most people would define it. But I will say that in some of my times of meditation and times of connecting to spirit and things like that, I definitely do feel that I have received some messages from my ancestors, and that there have been some times where I felt like I was channeling things from my grandmothers or from other people in my lineage and from other people whose spirits I feel really connected to. So that's more of a spiritual experience than a paranormal experience. But I do feel that I've had some strong connections to people who have passed on. A couple of my aunts who I have lost over the last few years, and like I said, my grandmothers, particularly women in my lineage, there are times that I definitely feel very connected to them and feel that they are giving me guidance and that I can kind of receive love and feedback and inspiration from them. So I will say that for that question. Do you believe in free will? Okay, we're getting really deep now. I do believe in free will. I believe that as humans we were created with free will and that we can make decisions about where our lives are headed and what we do with the circumstances of our lives. But I also do believe that there is a larger tapestry, a larger divine framework that is larger than something that any one of us can see or can discern with our individual human minds, that is playing out in a more cosmic way that we are all a part of. So I believe that there are some things in our life that come to us, that keep coming back to us because we need to experience them. And I do believe that we have free will to make choices and to move forward in the ways that we want to in our life. So that's a complicated question. That's a somewhat consolidated answer, but I'll stick with it. What's your best relationship advice? Wow, okay. Well, because you all know that I've been through a lot of ups and downs with my husband, Justin, and, I have a lot of friendships and relationships in my life that have had, their challenges. And to me, the best relationship advice that I can give is to just always be honest about your feelings and not hide things from people, which can be really hard to do sometimes. But the more we hide things away, the more complicated they get. And when we're not being true to ourselves, we're never going to really be able to be in a good, honest, true relationship. And I remember an episode of Mr. Rogers. You know, Mr. Rogers is a big inspiration to me. And Daniel Tiger in the neighborhood of make-believe was giving Lady Aberlin some advice. She was worried about something and didn't want to share with someone how she was really feeling. And Daniel Tiger said, why not just tell the truth? And then you don't have to worry about it. And that has always stuck with me. And sometimes telling the truth can be really difficult and can make a relationship more challenged in the short term because, you know, people don't always want to hear the truth, and sometimes that can be hard. But I really do think that being honest about our feelings and not burying things down is the best thing that we can do to try to cultivate loving and caring and mutually respectful relationships. What is your best skincare advice? These are getting really funny. I don't have a very complicated skincare routine, so I guess I would say keep it simple, moisturize. I definitely recommend using nice natural oils on your face and your skin. I use a lot of jojoba oil on my skin. Coconut oil is also really nice. I think keeping things as whole and natural as possible instead of using a lot of complicated products is really nice. I use a rose face cream at night that I really like. And, you know, eating well and drinking a lot of water, I think, is probably one of the best things that you can do for your skin as well. So I don't know if I'm the most qualified to give skincare advice, but someone asked. So that's what I do, is keep things really simple, keep things really moisturized, and keep things as natural as possible. Cooking advice. What is your best cooking advice? My best cooking advice is to take things really, really slow and simple. It is so easy. I remember this as a beginning cook to get caught up in trying to make things that are really complicated and take a lot of time. And in the beginning, when you're first learning to cook, trying some really simple recipes and finding some go-to things that you will really enjoy eating that you can make will go a long way. And there's so many good resources now. I mean, a good cookbook really can't be beat. Some cookbooks get kind of complicated, so you want to find a good, simple cookbook. But there are so many YouTube channels right now which provide, you know, a lot of guidance for really simple meals. I've mentioned Mina Rome before. She is one of my favorites. She's a vegan cook and cookbook author, and she has wonderful videos with really simple, nourishing meals that can get a person started. So I would also say with cooking, you know, go to the grocery store and really peruse and take your time in the produce section. You know, see what vegetables call out to you, or go to the farmer's market if you're lucky enough to be able to have that kind of resource, and just pick a couple of simple things and then prepare them in a really simple way. Roasting vegetables is one of the most delicious, nourishing things that you can do, and it brings out such nice flavor in things. So I think my best cooking advice would be to experiment with a couple ingredients at a time and use really simple preparations, roasting, steaming. Learn a few nice sauces, like how to make a pesto, or how to make like a lemon tahini sauce, or a cashew cream. And then those sauces you can put on everything, and it'll make everything delicious. So there's my simplified cooking advice for you. What is your best mental health advice? Well, I've talked a lot about mental health on this channel, and there are so many different strategies we can use to support our nervous systems and to support our health. But the thing that comes to mind the most for me kind of falls in line with the idea of being honest in our relationships, is being honest with ourselves and allowing space for our emotions, and allowing space to be sad, to grieve, to be afraid, and to not deny those emotions and push them away. I think that's been one of my biggest lessons, is I spent so many years of my life pushing my feelings down, dissociating, trying not to feel things, trying to just keep going and plow on and always be productive and always be moving ahead. And sometimes you just need to rest, and sometimes you just need to acknowledge when things are tough and when you need some extra compassion and care. And that's something that's really come home to me, is that when difficult emotions come up, instead of having that initial reaction of needing to stop them or get rid of them or push them away, I try to make a little space for them. I try to say, yes, fear, grief, I see you. You have a place in me. It's okay that you're here. And just by opening up that little bit of space, that little bit of compassion around difficult feelings, I find that that usually helps them to come into balance, to integrate, and to not take over. I feel like the more we push things away, the more they fight back, and then that's when they get really intense and can take over our senses. And also, mental health advice that I think is important is to not forget our physical health, because when it comes to mental health, the basics of self-care I think are so important, and I mean really basic, like eating nourishing meals every day. And if you can't cook, if you don't have the energy to cook, going and getting food somewhere that is nourishing to you. Eating every day, taking a shower, resting, doing things that really nourish you, connecting to people who make you feel good. All those basics of physical self-care can make a huge difference in your mental health as well. So I am no expert, but I think those basic things are really important, and just showing yourself as much self-love and self-compassion and patience as you can will go a long way. And wow, okay, the last question is, what's your goal for the rest of 2023? And that's interesting. I think someone asked this question when there was a lot more left of, I was seeing if there's any more over here. There's not. I think there was a lot more left of 2023 when they originally asked this question. But it's something good to ponder. And I think my goal for the rest of 2023 is to just take really good care of myself, to be really gentle with myself, all the kinds of things I was just talking about, to nourish myself, to reach out to those I care about and tell them I love them and how thankful I am for them, and to just really close out this year with a lot of simple gratitude and focusing on the essential things that are most important to me. I've really spent a lot of my life chasing after external goals and things that I thought I needed to achieve to be good enough, and that has all shifted so much for me in this year. I mean, with everything that has happened with Justin, and then some of the more recent things that I've been experiencing, I've really had a shift in my outlook on life. And I'm way more in the moment. I'm way more focused on where I am instead of being so fixated on the future and how things will be so great someday once I've done this or that. And really bringing love and compassion and embodiment into my day-to-day experience. So for the rest of 2023, I'm going to do the best I can to take care of my body, to take care of my mind, and to express as much love and hope into the world as I can. So that was my last question. I'm really, really pleased that we got through all of these, and I did have to stop and kind of clear my throat and edit that out a few times. So thank you for bearing with me. But I did want to finish this out. To be honest, this was one of my goals for 2023, was to get this Q&A video complete. because I do really appreciate all of you taking the time to submit your questions and to be interested in what I have to say and just to be here and be part of this community. So thank you again for all your questions, and I will be back again soon, hopefully, with a little bit clearer voice, and we will get into some fun holiday content, which I'm really excited to bring to you. So thank you again for being here. Take good care of yourself, rest well, and I'll see you again soon.